Hello, my name is Analia Gregoire. I'm a sculptor based in Western Massachusetts, and I'm excited to share my new series with you entitled Unpleasantly Beautiful. I was raised here by my single mother who gave me space and materials to play with art. Since I was a child, I would wake up before my mom and little brother and occupy myself with the act of making. I have always found solace in nature, so natural iconography tends to unconsciously make its way into my practice. I'm driven by a seemingly innate need to create. Oh, great. Next, I will be sharing my artist statement. There is a powerful pull toward the strange. I find beauty in looking at the remnants of transformation, what is present yet invisible, what rots and how it transitions over time, and what evokes a visceral reaction. In Unpleasantly Beautiful, I seek to destabilize traditional beauty standards by exposing vulnerable and sometimes disturbing aspects of my body. When we are confronted with images and experiences that defy our aesthetic conventions, we have been culturally conditioned to label this as grotesque. It seems the more violent one's repulsion, the more apparent it is that the individual has unresolved issues regarding the subject at hand. By peeling back layers of flesh and bone, I am able to investigate the dualities of the interior and exterior worlds, as well as the dueling concepts of grotesque and beautiful. My work sits between the real and fantastic in order to highlight moments where beauty and the grotesque merge. Confronting these dualities gives me the tools to reconstruct my own idea of what beauty is. By exposing spots of trauma, layer by layer, Unpleasantly Beautiful illuminates the uncomfortable and honest pain of healing. When I was 15, my mom introduced me to my mentor, Peter Roof, who taught me the ins and outs of oil painting in the art world. He has since become one of my closest friends and an immense source of inspiration. I'm particularly drawn to his abstract expressionist paintings made in the 1960s and the manner in which he morphs human and natural forms. I've also recently been influenced by the sculptures of Sarah Sitkin. Her deconstruction and reconstruction of figures is a potent metaphor that I find reflected in my own work. I'm also inspired by her use of grotesque imagery and the way in which she applies it to contemporary issues. This painting was commissioned for my art mentor's brother, Larry Roof. Unfortunately, Larry passed away the same day I was supposed to deliver the finished painting. His unexpected death reminded me of the fragility of life and what it felt like when my reality was shaken and disturbed. It was then that this painting acquired its full meaning of ripping one out of their assumed place in time and questioning the idea of multiple existences or multiple layers of reality. This self-portrait was made using oil paint and thread as a reflection of the stress of 2020, which challenged me in ways that I couldn't have imagined and made me feel incredibly vulnerable. It sheds light on the literal and metaphorical act of mending what is broken to find a sense of newness. Sculpture proposes issues of physics and material choices, which I love troubleshooting, but the simplicity and quietness of painting is healing to me. Here are a couple of detail shots. As someone who struggles with chronic migraines, I sometimes find myself forcing smiles and refraining from visually expressing the pounding in my head. The self-portrait illustrates how people perceive me based on my appearance and how that differs from what I'm experiencing internally. The X-ray serves as a lens for this internal vision. Through dissection and amputation, I have built a visual language with art and science revolving around the visible and invisible wounds of trauma. I use medical and scientific images such as historical and contemporary documents to inform my depictions of the internal form. These materials give my work context outside of my own lived experience and create a more full understanding of the horrors of medical and cosmetic surgery. This is what the sculpture looks like from the other side. And this is the shadow that it cast onto the wall. This piece is called Exposed. As a result of the pandemic, I was forced to adjust my process to one that required extremely little funds or machinery. Since I didn't have access to a cold working shop, I found people who had replaced the windows of their homes and were throwing away the old ones. I ended up with quite a substantial amount of recycled windows. With a forum set up in my dungy New England basement, I created this piece that examines the layers under my cloak of skin. I'm mesmerized by how the aesthetic quality of veins mirrors that of tree roots and branches, as well as the physical attributes that protect my heart. Here's a detail shot. This piece is entitled Shed Your Skin. The etched imagery depicts the anatomical layers of a corn snake. The front panel is the skin, the center panel is the skeleton, and the farthest back panel is the organs of the snake. As snakes shed their skin, they're a symbol of transformation and healing. The surface of the glass mirrors the faces of the community, serving as an invitation for self-reflection and conversations regarding transformation and healing. The transparency of the glass also allows the sculpture to seamlessly integrate with the surrounding environment. This is what the sculpture looks like from the other side. And here's a detail shot. Teeth come up a lot in my work. The most prominent connection I've made is that when I was 6 years old, the dentist pulled the wrong tooth and then proceeded to pull the correct one. The imagery was created in response to that experience. To continue this exploration, I created a dental x-ray of a child's mouth in 24 panels of glass that sit in a light box. I began by finding a 3D digital scan of teeth and then slicing it into 1/8-inch pieces, or the thickness of my panels. As viewers move around the object, the image temporarily disappears and then reappears as they continue revolving. I see my work adding to the sculptural glass canon because many of the glass artists I've seen exhibited so far seem to be searching for beauty, but I'm rather searching for discomfort. Here's another angle. This piece is entitled Sweet Tooth. It was influenced by the lack of access to sufficient dental and medical care for low-income individuals. It's a reflection of the relationship between wealth and the dental industry. Food deserts create a lack of access to healthy food, resulting in poor dental health. In many cases, they do not receive the help they need, which can result in even more damaging health issues. This was created by casting a jaw out of caramelized sugar and embedding teeth into it. The teeth were gifted to me from a cousin who works as a dental assistant and asked her dentist to set aside teeth for the project. My home is very old and the walls are made of plaster, so I was unable to install my work to photograph it here. Fortunately, You and Me Gallery in Greenfield agreed to let me install for the day. And here's a quick walkthrough of the exhibition. Oops. There are so many people I would like to thank for helping me get to this point, but to be conscious of time, I will highlight just a few. My mom and Peter, of course, who have inspired me and supported me every step of the way. My partner, Cameron, who has had to deal with me every hour of every day during the pandemic and handled it with love. A huge thank you to my teachers and friends who have pushed me to expand my creative potential. And lastly, thank you to each of you here today for taking the time to experience my show in this strange virtual setting.